Good morning, freedom fighters. It is 8:15 a.m. East Coast time, September 16th, 2024. We are looking back 6 hours ago at the daybreak over London and France. What seems to be a very large geoengineering operation taking place where you have literally, it looks like hundreds of aircraft spraying these people at one time with very toxic material. Up to 50 different compounds and nanoparticle chemicals and metals. Each one of these lines comes from aircraft. Unbelievable how many aircraft was spraying these people at daybreak. And there's that guitar bass string that I keep talking about all the time, where there's 4 aircraft continuously working together. And the continuous X's and other single aircraft as well. Unbelievable aircraft trailing going across these countries this morning. France as well has been very, very heavily sprayed with toxic material. This is the attack on the human race. I cannot believe we cannot get any help from our governments, our media, and our militaries, because it is our military is controlled by the United Nations. The only thing that has not happened, they have not removed our flags from our uniforms and put the UN only uniforms. We will lose our military due to that. All they got to do is remove the Velcro patches of all the militaries and put UN patch on. Like I said, this is 6 hours ago. We're going to go through it. I'm going to show you how this plays out, but it is a solid onslaught from Spain north. Unbelievable what is going on. And frequency waves as well. You can see that's very distinct. I'm going to try to bump it ahead a little bit as it see it spread out. They could literally kill us in one day, every one of us. I showed U.S. Air Force videos showing how they spray and can kill 50% of the population with just 3 aircraft. Stand by. Okay, warriors, this is from the U.S. military stating how they create biological weapons and spray onto the population. What I hate is how they show spraying the United States instead of some not a real land. But after that, I'll show you where they make the biological weapons as well. Stand by for some really real good evidence from the U.S. government.
At the U.S. Army Chemical Corps Proving Ground, tests were conducted using an F-100 aircraft equipped with an experimental spray device developed by one of the large aviation companies. One purpose of these tests was to establish the feasibility of producing BW aerosols in the most effective particle size range as a low-level line source from high-speed aircraft. Wind tunnel tests had shown that effective aerosols could be produced by discharging the BW agent into a high-velocity airstream. To confirm the wind tunnel test data, an aerial mission was conducted using a BW incapacitating agent. Flying at subsonic speed, the F-100 disseminated the liquid agent along a 15-mile line upwind of the test grid. Data from these tests were used to determine the effective coverage that could be expected with an operational type spray system employing the basic principles of the experimental device. This study showed that one fighter aircraft flying on the deck and dispensing 2 wing tanks of a liquid BW agent would cause infection in more than 50% of the populace in an area 125 miles long by 30 miles deep. 3 large aircraft could release sufficient agent to infect over 50% of the people in an area equivalent to a belt 140 miles wide, extending from New York to Chicago, comparable to the total area of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana.
When the COVID-19 began sweeping across the U.S.
Okay, the last few minutes of this video is biological weapons manufacturer at Fort Detrick, Maryland. And I love how they're injecting eggs with these compounds. They don't ever mention this, but for some reason they showed it. They are injecting eggs with stuff, and I can only imagine what my eggs have in it right now. But watch this very important video of our government doing horrible things.
Not very far from Edgewood, in historic Frederick, Maryland, are the biological warfare laboratories. Here, men and women of science are doing basically the same type of work as in other government, university, and industrial laboratories. A combination of medical and public health research. While I was at Fort Detrick, I was able to follow partway through an experiment to determine the effectiveness of an agent. Volunteers are important to the testing picture. For many years, information has been needed on the effect of a biological warfare attack on man, so that we can have a better understanding of how to defend ourselves against it. The volunteers were a picked group. They had received psychiatric interviews to determine their maturity and reliability, as well as mental outlook. Medical histories and laboratory checks on the volunteers had been extremely stringent. Any history of a chronic disease, any allergic reaction or nervous disorder was a cause for rejection. Volunteers were given the opportunity to drop out at any time. I was to watch the progress of the experiment from the control room. The volunteers had been positioned in cubicles on the outside of the test sphere, a hollow steel ball 40 feet in diameter, in which a cloud of biological warfare agent can be generated. Through a series of controllable valves and a face mask, it was possible to expose a person in each cubicle to a measured volume of biological aerosol from the sphere. I said before I was able to follow part way through the experiment, the final part. As was expected, the volunteers were temporarily incapacitated, but within a short time they were up and around, completely recovered. They had the satisfaction of having played an important part in obtaining information, which would immediately be given to the Public Health Service to bolster our defenses against disease. Research has led to many scientific findings beneficial to mankind, such as a perfected vaccine for controlling industrial anthrax, a usually fatal disease of cattle and sheep. Still another accomplishment, protective devices for the safe handling of disease-causing microorganisms and their harmful products. Just a few of the many byproducts of biological warfare research.
Some very good information there for you guys. And I want you to see the entire belt of spray in here that's over France. Very distinct clouds. This whole entire formation here is the toxic poisoning. You can see how it was developed, how it spreads out through the day. It's the same material, and it's just going to keep moving south. Like I said, it doesn't matter who outlaws these people. They can just spray in the ocean and it still go over yours. Still go over. Wow, look at those ripples. Looks like ripples there. Oh yeah, you think? Let's put that in motion, guys. Holy cow. Chemtrails offshore here too. Look at that. More of it. But watch these ripples don't move. No movement in these ripples. They're very unusual to me. Chemtrail's heavy right there. But the machine's on here, guys. Look at that. No movement in these clouds. The machine just keeps moving. The material, but the machine ain't moving. Very wild. But heavy chemtrails right on through this morning. But this is the European, I can't speak, European segment of this morning's chemtrail report. That's obviously chemtrails to me as well. Yeah, very distinct. Very distinct lines. I've seen pictures out of this country of spraying. It is live. And the spray continues over France and moving on into Spain. But let's go to the United States, across the pond here. And it's still breaking daylight across the United States. We've got heavy trails, lots of rain out in the desert. To me, that's not natural. My buddy shows me pictures from truck driving where the desert is now green. He's been driving a long time. He has never seen the desert green before. But I will come back to the United States later as it breaks daylight and see where their operations are taking place. And I will leave you with that commercial fisherman standing by. Y'all have a good morning.